So my name is Kyle Chavis. I'm a member of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina. Um, I'm an agriculture teacher at St. Paul's High School. That's in St. Paul's, North Carolina. I teach horticulture, and I'm also a graduate student at North Carolina State University, getting my master's degree in agricultural and extension education.
So, what led you to pursuing ag education?
I grew up in so Robeson County, North Carolina is a very rural, agriculture rich county. Growing up, my grandpa, you know, we he had a farm and his dad was a sharecropper, so he really grew up like in the trenches of agriculture, like my history of ag has nothing compared to what my grandpa went through, because he was really out there. But I mean, we grew up on the farm helping grandpa, and initially when I started my educational journey I'd say, let's say in high school, I had no intention of going into agricultural education. And it kind of fell into my lap because I got involved with the FFA chapter. As I got involved with the FFA and, here at the school, being in that program and realizing that the things that I was already doing at home, I could use that for like my SAE project. So I could turn that into awards and scholarship opportunities. So that really, I guess what got me started into, the field of agriculture was, I guess, my upbringing and then getting involved with FFA at a young age.
Did your culture impact your ag pursuit at all?
Like I mentioned earlier, in Robeson County, as far as the population of Robeson County goes, the Lumbee people is a huge percentage of the population. And in this county, I mentioned my grandpa earlier, and I'll refer back to him again. Agriculture wasn't really a choice, but it was a way of life. If you were, a young, you know, Lumbee family, probably worked on the farm. You probably grew your own food. It was just the way of life. That part has remained, which I'm very proud of. That's remained part of my family today. Like we still are involved in agriculture. So, but yeah, being a member of the tribe and being part of this community, you certainly it's the way of life. You grow up working on the farm, and I want to keep that tradition, going for young people within the community.
We talked a little bit about your connection to agriculture through growing up on your family's farm, but let's deep dive into your educational journey. How did your ag education journey start and where are you now?
Sure. So I currently work at the high school I graduated from. I graduated from St. Paul's High School in 2014. I got involved with FFA my freshman year. Um, my agriculture teacher, he came up to me and said, "Hey, I got this thing called hunter safety. I heard you can shoot a bow." So that's how it initially started. And after that, the next thing, that same my freshman year, he said, "Hey, I've got this team coming up. It's called agriculture sales. You sell an agriculture product. We practice on Wednesday. I'll see you Wednesday." He didn't give me a choice. He said, "Hey, come by." And I did. And, that's kind of where it went on from there. I got involved. I did this competition. It went well. I enjoyed it. So every year after that, I was an FFA. But then, whenever I started my undergrad career, I actually got away from agriculture. I was going to East Carolina University. I was going to get a degree in biology. And then, about halfway through the year, I wasn't happy. So I called my dad and I said, "Hey, I'm interested in being an ag teacher." And my dad said, "Well, son, do what you want. We'll support you." So then I called my ag teacher. I said, "Hey, Mr. Bullock, I want to do what you do. I want to transfer." He said, "Give me like 30 minutes." Within 30 minutes, I'd got an email from Dr. Flowers, setting up a plan for me to transfer to North Carolina State. So I came back home. I went to Pembroke for a year, stayed at home, saved up some money, and then the next year, which would have been my junior year, I transferred to North Carolina State. So then, the years at NC State were great. I really enjoyed it. I've wanted to go there since I was like a freshman in high school when I went to visit for the first time. So it became like my dream school. So I loved it. I was there the whole time. I love being a student. I love that I'm getting my master's degree. I really enjoy it. Um, so yeah, after I graduated, obviously I started teaching, and then I've been teaching ever since. And then I got the opportunity to apply for TAF, and I got it. So now I'm back in school, and it's really great.
Whenever you were deciding, whenever you wanted to transfer over to ag education, you thought of your mentor first. But was there any specific memory that you were thinking of during those moments of like, man, I really just want to do ag teaching?
Yeah, for sure. And Well, I got to be careful because like I talk about my ag teacher a lot, and I don't want people. Well, I talk really highly of him, and I don't want people to think I didn't have like great influences at home because I had a great home life, great parents. Like my dad has always been super supportive. My grandpa's always been there. But man, my ag teacher, he was like an uncle. I don't want to say he's like a dad because I had a dad, but he's like an uncle, and he was always there for me. Somebody I could talk to. Because as a kid, you can't talk to your parents about everything. Sometimes you need that other, adult figure there. And he was always there for us. So I guess to answer your question, I go back to him and I thought about all the times he was there. And not that my parents weren't there, but he was always, he was one of those people we could go to for everything. He was a support, you know, just another support system. Um, he was always here for us and supported us and, really helped us find our passion in life beyond, just what his subject matter, what he taught. Like, so I guess to answer that question, yes, I went back and thought of the memories of how he helped us, and I wanted to do that for my future students.
Speaking of that, do you think that confidence and growing that confidence is the most important thing students can learn in an ag class?
Whenever I think about my philosophy of education and what I want to do, I teach horticulture, and I really like I told you earlier, my minor, I initially planned on teaching animal science. Um, that was my thing. I was really into animal science, and I still do. I love talking about animals. I can still teach animal science today, but here at the school, my wife, her degree is animal science, so it just made we needed a horticulture teacher. It made sense for me to switch over. So that was a long story, but I say all that to tell you this. I can teach a kid how to plant a plant. I can teach a kid how to manage their garden. I can teach a kid about fertilizing, pruning bushes, whatever they need to know, right? And yeah, that stuff's important. But if I can teach a kid and help a kid learn a little bit about life, a little bit about confidence, about respect for themselves and others, I think those are the most important lessons you can pick up from a teacher. Well, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to take anything away from ag because obviously you can't eat leadership, right? You can't eat confidence. We need agriculture. But I do feel that me maybe teaching life lessons, that's also a very important aspect of what we do. It's not in the curriculum for me to teach a young man how to be a better person. But if I do it, then that's definitely a bonus to my job.
Why is TAF important? And then, is there any specific memory with TAF that you like the most?
So my first summer, right before I started my first year of graduate school. When I'd initially been accepted into the program, we had our first retreat, and it was actually here. It was in Pembroke, so that was pretty cool. That was a really good memory. I was very nervous at first because but everybody was super nice. It was really cool to meet everybody. That was probably one of my favorite memories. And then without TAF, you know, I would have not went to graduate school. I'd have been done. I'd have got my bachelor's degree, which I was content with. The whole thought of me getting a master's was really for, like, I wanted to say, yes, I did this, improve my abilities. And I thought maybe, going to graduate school would help me with that. So, but again, why is TAF important? Without TAF, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be in graduate school. TAF offers, native students a chance to pursue education that are interested in agriculture. I mean, that's so important. Going back to the start of our conversation, if we got to keep these young people, these young native people, we got to keep them interested in ag and keep them, learning about the industry and keep them up to date with the history of our people. It's the farm, it's agriculture. So TAF opens that door of opportunity to let kids go to college and study ag.
Staying grounded in community and keeping traditions alive is how many support tribal food sovereignty, strengthen cultural foodways, and promote sustainable growth within agriculture. This work is why providing resources for teachers like Kyle is so important. By supporting your local ag teachers, you are providing students a space to grow connected to the land they come from, learn about what makes a good leader, and how they can make an impact on their own community. These are the stories of resilience, innovation, and leadership. Thank you for joining us. To see more of our student programming, please like and subscribe. You can also learn more about TAF programming and our fellows by visiting us on our website at taffellows.org. That's TAF fellows.org.